The chronicles of Islamic history hold within them the extraordinary account of one remarkable soul, whose grace transcended her era and whose devotion continues to illuminate hearts across generations. This is the profound narrative of Fatima, the radiant daughter of Prophet Muhammad, whose very existence became a beacon of virtue and an embodiment of divine excellence. In verses steeped with emotion, Hazrat Ali captured the depth of his yearning after Fatima's departure from this temporal world. His words resonated with an ache that only those who have loved deeply can understand. My solitary aspiration remaining in this earthly existence, O Fatima, is to witness the blessed day when I shall be reunited with you and your father. The void you have left knows no boundary. My heart perpetually mourns both of you. She endured merely half a year in this realm, following her father's return to the divine presence before she too crossed the veil to rejoin him in the eternal gardens beyond. Words possess insufficient power to capture her essence. She emerged as the singular and supremely treasured offspring of the Messenger of Allah, the fulfillment of Khadija's deepest hopes and the most cherished manifestation of his being. The Prophet Muhammad brought forth 7 children into existence, 3 sons and 4 daughters of exceeding virtue. When Fatima came into the world as the 5th among these blessed offspring, her mother Khadija harbored a silent wish within her heart. She longed to bestow upon this precious newborn the name of her own mother, whose name had been Fatima Binti. Upon arriving to behold his newborn daughter, the Prophet cradled her tenderly in his noble arms and proclaimed with evident affection, "Behold, here lies my mother." He then declared with certainty, "I shall name her in honor of my mother." Khadija's expression registered uncertainty, yet the messenger swiftly clarified his intention. "When I speak of my mother, I reference my second maternal figure, Fatima, the mother of Ali." Through this gracious gesture, he honored both the desires of his beloved wife and his deep respect for Ali's mother. The appellation Fatima carries profound significance, denoting one who has been separated or weaned. Though physically separated from her mother's nourishment in infancy, Fatima flourished through continuous spiritual sustenance drawn from the Quranic verses and prophetic teachings that permeated her upbringing. She grew within an atmosphere sanctified by divine revelation, her character refined through perpetual instruction from her illustrious father. When divine revelation descended upon her father, Fatima was merely 5 years of age. Yet from her earliest years, witnesses marveled at the striking resemblance between father and daughter. Her bearing, her movements, her gestures, even the manifestation of her smile seemed to mirror the Prophet's own demeanor with astonishing fidelity. Aisha, the Prophet's beloved wife, offered this testimony, "Never have I observed any individual who embodied such remarkable similarity to their parent as Fatima demonstrated toward her father." She further explained that in the streets of Medina, should one observe her from behind, the illusion would form that the Prophet himself walked before them, so identical were her movements and carriage. During those early, perilous days, when the message faced fierce opposition in Mecca, the Prophet stood engaged in prayer near the sacred house when Abu Jahl and the city's prominent antagonists began their mockery and insults. One among them gestured toward a freshly slaughtered animal and posed a shameful challenge to those gathered. 3 men, seizing this wicked opportunity, collected the creature's entrails and hurled them upon the Prophet's back as he remained devoted in his supplications. An observer of this degradation, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, recalled, "We stood frozen, our hearts burning with helplessness, when suddenly the cry of a child, Fatima, not yet 11 years of age, pierced the air. She rushed toward her father's assailants, her voice trembling with righteous indignation. 'How dare you subject my father to such vile treatment? Do you harbor no fear of the Almighty?' With determined hands, this young girl removed the filth from her father's back. When the Prophet completed his prayer, grief overwhelmed them both. Yet he consoled her with certainty. "Weep not, my beloved daughter. Allah shall never abandon your father." He then invoked divine retribution against her father's tormentors by their very names. Years later, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud witnessed the fulfillment of this prayer when each of these men fell during the Battle of Badr, their bodies discarded together within a single grave. Though her physical frame appeared delicate and vulnerable, Fatima possessed an interior fortress of spiritual resilience. Her disposition inclined toward gentle modesty and profound restraint. She spoke rarely and only when occasion demanded, remaining distant from matters beyond her proper concern. Yet this quietness concealed an unshakable fortitude. From her tender years, she witnessed profound tribulations. She endured the separation from her cherished mother while still a young girl, and the successive losses of her sisters as she matured into womanhood. Despite these sorrows, she acquired all the accomplishments expected of a Qurashi woman of noble standing. Her competence in managing household affairs became legendary. She performed all necessary duties without requiring external assistance. She had absorbed the Quranic verses with such depth through her father's instruction that her speech became characterized by eloquence and crystalline clarity, capturing the attention of all who heard her discourse. The scholars of Hadith, including Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi, transmitted through documented chains of narration this pronouncement of the Prophet: "My daughter Fatima constitutes a celestial entity among the descendants of Adam. She has been granted protection from the monthly cycles experienced by women and from the postnatal bleeding that accompanies childbirth." This miraculous distinction led to her being called Al-Mutahhara, the purified one. For this reason, Allah designated her as one eternally shielded from the punishment of hellfire and extended this protection to her offspring. Al-Hakim transmitted through an authentic chain that the Prophet declared, "Fatima has preserved her modesty and chastity with absolute perfection. Consequently, Allah has ordained that the fires of hell shall never touch her progeny." In multiple narrations, it is established that the Prophet stated, "The first inhabitant to grace the gardens of paradise shall be Fatima, daughter of Muhammad." The Prophet further emphasized, "Fatima holds among this ummah the identical elevated rank that Maryam, the mother of Isa, held among the children of Israel." In the year when the Prophet gathered his companions, he traced 4 lines upon the earth and proclaimed, "Understand you what these marks represent?" Upon their silence, he explained, "These represent the 4 supreme queens of all women: Asiya, wife of the Pharaoh; Maryam, mother of Jesus; Khadijah, my first beloved; and Fatima, my precious daughter." The union with Ali. 2 years after the migration to Medina, at the threshold of her 20th year, Fatima found herself sought by numerous distinguished companions. Even the great Abu Bakr and Umar ibn al-Khattab, along with Abd al-Rahman ibn Auf, presented their requests for her hand. Yet the Prophet possessed divine wisdom regarding his daughter's future. When Ali ibn Abi Talib approached seeking permission to marry her, the Prophet first inquired of Fatima herself whether she consented. Upon receiving her affirmative answer, he granted his blessing to this union. For the marriage gift, Ali possessed little wealth. His most valuable possession was his battle helmet. He made the difficult decision to sell this protective armor. Uthman ibn Affan purchased the helmet, yet later returned it as a wedding offering, a gesture of profound generosity toward the Prophet's family. Fatima's dowry consisted of the simplest necessities: a modest cushion, a woven sleeping mat, primitive grinding stones for grain, a leather vessel for water, a clay lamp for illumination, a plain linen cloth, a Yemeni textile, and a piece of velvet. These humble items constituted the complete possessions of the messenger's daughter. Their bedding was so modest in dimension that when both attempted to draw it over their bodies, their feet remained exposed to the cold night air. When it came time to celebrate the marriage feast, financial constraints prevented even Ali from providing sustenance. It was Sa'd ibn Ubadah who stepped forward with compassion, organizing the wedding meal himself. Years of devoted companionship. Fatima spent her initial 5 years within her mother Khadija's household, the subsequent 13 years in Mecca under the Prophet's direct guidance, her first 2 years in Medina, basking in his presence, and finally 8 years sharing her life with Ali as his wife and partner. During these 8 years of marriage, Ali simultaneously bore responsibility for his own mother, Fatima bint Asad, who dwelled within their household. This was the same woman who had once extended maternal tenderness to the young prophet himself when he was orphaned. Now, in her advancing years, she received from Fatima the same loving care and compassion she had once bestowed. Ali, possessing both wisdom and an innate sense of justice, orchestrated the household's dynamics with admirable tact and deliberation. He thoughtfully divided the domestic responsibilities to prevent friction. His mother managed the external tasks, fetching water and attending to external necessities, while Fatima devoted herself to indoor labors, grinding wheat, kneading dough, and preparing sustenance. Like all couples navigating married existence, Ali and Fatima occasionally experienced moments of disagreement and tension. One particular dispute arose between them, and word of their discord reached the Prophet's ears. He visited their home, seated himself between them, and gently placed their hands within his own. After a period of silence filled with his composed presence, he rose and departed, his expression transformed by a serene smile. When the companions inquired about this remarkable transformation, the Prophet responded, "I have just reconciled my 2 most beloved souls upon this earth." This moment illustrated his unwavering commitment to justice. He never permitted his role as Fatima's father to influence his judgment. He granted both parties equal voice and treated each with impartiality, ensuring that righteousness prevailed in all matters. From their sacred union, Ali and Fatima were blessed with 5 children: Hassan, Hussein, Muhsin, Zainab, and others who would shape the course of Islamic history. The Prophet declared with certainty, "While the lineage of others continues through their sons, my own shall perpetuate through Fatima." This pronouncement was sealed when the Prophet, gathering Ali, Fatima, Hassan, and Hussein beneath his cloak, prayed for divine mercy upon these souls he held most dear. During the 3rd year of the Hijrah, in her 21st year of life, Fatima joined roughly 15 brave women who accompanied the Muslim forces to the confrontation at Uhud. When distressing rumors began circulating that the Prophet had fallen in battle, she could not remain in the safety of Medina. Driven by filial devotion and desperate anxiety, she rushed toward the battlefield. What she discovered shattered her heart. Her father's noble visage bore the marks of combat, his face bloodied and his body bearing fresh wounds. With trembling hands, she beseeched Ali to bring water to cleanse these injuries. She personally applied whatever remedies were available, and when the bleeding persisted despite her efforts, she burned palm fiber and utilized its ash as a cauterizing agent to halt the flow. Throughout an entire lunar month, she remained at his side, providing continuous nursing care. During this period, she observed Ali's demeanor becoming increasingly stern and brooding, as though he silently harbored anguish about the harm inflicted upon his beloved Prophet. Sensing this emotional burden, the Prophet addressed him directly. "Ali, did you witness how valiantly Abdullah ibn Jahsh, Abu Jana, and Harith ibn Sima conducted themselves in battle? They demonstrated the same courage and commitment as you have shown. This reassurance brought comfort not only to Ali, but to Fatima as well, softening her own anxious heart. One day, as Fatima brought her father a morsel of sustenance, he gazed upon it with profound gratitude. "O my daughter," he said with deep emotion, "for 3 consecutive days no food has passed your father's lips. This bread shall be the first nourishment to enter my throat since that time." These shared hardships wove them together with bonds transcending ordinary familial connection. Following the expedition of Hunain, during which the Muslims acquired considerable spoils and material gains, Ali turned to Fatima with a practical suggestion. "Why do you not request a servant from your father to assist with the household labor? This would lighten your burdens considerably." Fatima made her way to her father's residence, only to discover his absence. That evening the Prophet visited their dwelling. When Fatima's foot inadvertently touched his as he entered, she exclaimed, "Father, the coldness of your foot has penetrated my heart and caused me to shiver with concern." The Prophet responded with tender wisdom, "O my daughter, obey Allah. O Fatima, obey your husband." He then addressed her request. "Today you journeyed to Aisha to petition for a servant. By Allah, I cannot provide you with such assistance while the companions of the Sufa remain in such desperate destitution." Yet his response extended beyond refusal. He offered an alternative immeasurably more valuable. "Shall I disclose to you something far superior to any servant?" Upon your agreement, he instructed, "Each night before surrendering to sleep, recite Subhanallah, glory be to Allah, 33 times. Recite Alhamdulillah, all praise belongs to Allah, 33 times. And recite Allahu Akbar, Allah is greatest, 34 times. Fatima and Ali embraced this spiritual prescription with dedication. Ali would later testify that he maintained this blessed practice without interruption, even during the tumultuous night preceding the Battle of Siffin. On another occasion, when the Prophet observed Fatima laboring under the weight of grinding wheat, her hands bearing the marks of relentless toil while dressed in garments of coarse camel hair, his eyes released tears of sorrow. "O Fatima," he lamented, "endure the difficulties and sorrows of this transient world, that you may experience the eternal happiness and boundless blessings of the realm hereafter." Following this moment, the Quran itself descended with revelation, addressing this very circumstance. "And your Lord will give you, and you will be satisfied." Chapter 93, verse 5. There came a period when their household experienced severe scarcity. In her tactful manner, Fatima journeyed to her father's dwelling. Before she could articulate her unspoken need, the Prophet recognized her presence from her footsteps alone. She gently posed the question, "Father, the sustenance of the angels consists solely of glorifying Allah. Yet from what source do human beings derive their nourishment?" The Prophet understood immediately the tender query concealed within her words. He responded with candid honesty, "By Allah, O my daughter, your father's residence has not witnessed the sight of a boiling pot for an entire month. The food has been absent that long." Despite this hardship, he offered her a choice between 2 paths. "I may provide you with material provision, or I may instead teach you 5 sacred words." Without hesitation, Fatima selected the spiritual treasure over material wealth. Her father then imparted these 5 powerful words, which Fatima subsequently shared with Ali. The couple thereafter perceived such abundance in their circumstances that their situation transformed remarkably. One day, Ali and Fatima made the solemn decision to fast together. As the moment arrived to break their fast at sunset, Fatima had prepared halwa, a delicacy beloved throughout Arabia. Just as they were about to partake, a voice sounded at their threshold. A destitute man, identifying himself as a Muslim in dire need, appealed to them. "O family of Muhammad, I am a penniless believer. I implore you to provide me sustenance, that Allah may feed you from the tables of his paradise." Moved profoundly by his desperate plea, the couple immediately surrendered their prepared meal to this stranger, content to satisfy themselves with whatever remained. This act of sacrifice from their fast continued the following evening, when an orphaned child appeared at their door seeking nourishment. Again, Fatima and Ali shared their iftar meal without hesitation. On the third consecutive evening, a captive seeking liberation and food arrived, and once more they surrendered their sustenance, leaving themselves virtually without food for 3 complete days. The following morning, Ali took Hassan and Hussein by their small hands and brought them to the Prophet's presence. The sight before him was anguishing. His grandsons trembled visibly from hunger's grip. The Prophet's heart broke, witnessing such deprivation affecting his own family. He hastened to Fatima's dwelling and discovered her lying upon her bed, her body weakened by deprivation, her stomach collapsed inward, her eyes hollow from hunger. The intensity of her condition overwhelmed him. Gathering his grandchildren around him, the Prophet spoke with evident distress. "Have you all remained in this condition for 3 days, and I was unaware of your suffering?" In that sacred moment, divine revelation descended through the Prophet, and Surah Al-Insan was revealed. They feed the poor, the orphan, and the captive for the sake of Allah alone. They say, "We feed you only for the sake of Allah. We desire neither reward nor gratitude from you. We fear from our Lord a day of terrible distress." This chapter became an eternal testimony to Fatima and Ali's devotion and sacrifice. At the age of 28, Fatima witnessed her father's health deteriorate into grave illness. As he lay upon his bed of sickness, he turned to his cherished daughter with words intended to provide solace. "Fear not, O my beloved. They shall never again bring harm to your father." Understanding the gravity of his condition, Fatima's heart became overwhelmed with sorrow and anguish. The Prophet, noticing her distress, motioned for her to approach closely. He whispered words into her ear that caused her tears to flow without restraint. Then, sensing her need for comfort, he called her near once more. This time, his whispered words transformed her weeping into laughter. Later, Aisha inquired about this striking transformation. Fatima explained with tenderness, "When the messenger first spoke to me, he revealed that his time in this world was drawing to its conclusion. The knowledge of his imminent departure broke my heart, and I could not suppress my tears. But when he spoke the second time, he assured me that I would be the first among his family to rejoin him in the eternal realm. This promise brought joy to my grieving soul, and my sorrow transformed into hope." 6 months after the Prophet's return to his Creator, Fatima too completed her earthly journey. She had reached merely 29 years upon this temporal sphere. Though her time seemed brief to earthly measures, the breadth of her spiritual accomplishment proved immeasurable. She was laid to rest in the Baqi cemetery of Medina, surrounded by those who mourned not merely a woman, but a beacon of virtue and an embodiment of faith. For many, her passing represented a profound loss. She departed in what might be considered the bloom of her life, leaving behind a devoted husband struggling with grief and children requiring maternal guidance. Yet, for Fatima herself, this world held minimal significance beyond her sacred ties. Her consciousness remained anchored in the hereafter, her heart perpetually oriented toward reunion with her father and Creator. Historical records preserved in the collection titled Balagat al-Nisa contain an account of a moment when Fatima addressed the assembled community. A fabric curtain was drawn between her and the gathering, providing separation as was customary. She positioned herself beside her father's tomb and began to weep, her sobs resonating through the crowd with such poignancy that her listeners found tears coursing down their own cheeks. The assembled people sat engulfed in profound sorrow, united in their shared grief. After a period of silence, Fatima ceased her weeping. Once the emotional intensity had subsided and the crowd regained composure, she began her address by glorifying Allah and invoking divine blessings upon the Prophet. Then, in measured and eloquent tones, she commenced her famous sermon. All gratitude belongs to Allah for His infinite blessings, and genuine thanks are owed to Him for His incomparable guidance. We magnify Him for His boundless favors, His perfect and abundant gifts, and His perpetual grace that surpasses all enumeration and repayment. Indeed, His blessings exceed the boundaries of human comprehension. He has called upon His servants to express gratitude for the multiplication of His bounties and encourage them to acknowledge His generosity. He has pledged to increase infinitely the rewards of the thankful in the eternal realm. I bear testimony that no deity exists except Allah, singular in His essence, without partner or equivalent. He has established the truth of pure monotheism, embedded it within believing hearts, and rendered its clarity apparent to minds capable of understanding. Allah transcends perception by vision, limitation by words, or containment by imagination. He is the Creator who brought all existence into being without precedent, without necessity, and without requiring any model. Through His will and infinite capability, He manifested all beings to demonstrate His wisdom, exhibit His authority, invite creation to His worship, and establish His divine ordinances. He has pledged magnificent reward for those who obey, and warned of stern consequences for those who transgress, all to guide His servants toward His paradise and shield them from His displeasure. I bear witness that my father Muhammad represents a servant and messenger of the Almighty. Allah selected him prior to creation itself, chose him before he emerged into existence, and designated him Ahmad, while creation remained concealed in non-existence and obscurity. Allah, possessing complete knowledge of all conclusions and destinies, dispatched him as His messenger to perfect His command, establish His decrees, and fulfill His predetermined wisdom. At that era, humanity had fragmented into diverse religious factions, each clinging to fabricated beliefs and worthless idols, rejecting truth and denying reality. Through Muhammad's luminous message, Allah dispelled the enveloping darkness that had consumed the world. He untied the knots of disbelief that constricted human hearts. He removed the veils of ignorance, obscuring human vision. The Prophet guided wandering souls toward the correct path, delivered them from the abyss of error, and illuminated their previously blind eyes. He summoned them toward the fortified foundation of faith and the straight pathway, rescuing them from deviation and beckoning them toward the resplendent truth. Fatima continued her sermon with profound depth, elaborating upon the foundational principles of Islamic law as revealed in the Quran. Allah has designated faith as the mechanism for your purification from polytheism. He has prescribed prayer to distance you from arrogance. He has ordained the obligatory charity to refine the soul and expand sustenance. He has mandated fasting to establish sincerity within hearts. He has required pilgrimage to fortify the pillars of religion. Allah has ordered justice to unite divergent hearts. He has enjoined obedience to restore order and preserve the integrity of faith. He has established righteous leadership to shield you from internal division. Jihad remains prescribed to elevate the honor of Islam. Patience has been ordained to earn divine recompense. The command to perform good deeds serves the collective welfare of humanity. Kindness toward parents remains obligatory to protect you from divine displeasure. The maintenance of family bonds has been designated as a means to increase your prosperity. The law of retribution exists to prevent bloodshed and preserve life. The fulfillment of oaths ensures you receive divine forgiveness. Allah has established equitable weights and measures to prevent exploitation and maintain the integrity of commerce. He has prohibited intoxicants to cleanse his servants from impurity and contamination. He has forbidden slander to shield people from curses and preserve honor. He has interdicted theft to uphold justice and maintain social order. Moreover, he has prohibited polytheism categorically, that the purity of faith in his exclusive lordship might remain established. Therefore, demonstrate profound reverence toward Allah as is befitting His Majesty, and do not permit yourselves to depart this life except in the state of complete submission to His will. Adhere steadfastly to Allah's commands and restrictions, for truly among His servants only those who possess knowledge demonstrate genuine fear of Him. Fatima's words descended upon her listeners like rain upon parched earth, penetrating hearts with their profound wisdom. Her sermon represented not merely eloquent speech, but a complete articulation of faith, a comprehensive expression of spiritual understanding, and an unwavering commitment to the principles she proclaimed. After Fatima's departure from this world, Ali found himself drowning in an ocean of grief that seemed without shores. Poetry became his vessel for expressing emotions too vast and profound for ordinary speech. He lamented, "I feel eternally lost within this vast expanse. Solitude has wrapped itself around me like a suffocating cloak. Exhaustion and the crushing weight of my losses have transformed my existence into an inescapable prison. I transport all my burdens to you, and through your presence I discover remedy for everything that ails me. Within these twin verses lies the balm that soothes my heart's deepest wounds." Abu Bakr's profound statement. When Abu Bakr, the steadfast companion and first caliph, stood before the gravely ill Fatima, he spoke with touching sincerity. "O Fatima, I swear by the one who controls all existence that I have never pursued wealth, accumulation of possessions, or family connections for personal gratification. My every effort has been directed toward gaining the approval of the Messenger of Allah and honoring his beloved family. Your satisfaction and contentment represent the sum total of my aspirations." With grace and magnanimity, Fatima responded, "O Abu Bakr, I am entirely pleased with you. I grant you complete forgiveness for any rights you may have unknowingly infringed upon. Let there be no burden upon your conscience regarding me." Fatima surrendered her soul to her Creator on Tuesday, the 3rd day of Ramadan, in the 11th year of the Hijrah, precisely 6 months following her father's return to the divine presence. Prior to this conclusion, she had shared with Asma bint Umayz a concern regarding the traditional practice of wrapping women in plain shrouds. Asma responded by recounting what she had witnessed in Abyssinia, where she crafted an elaborate structure from palm branches and draped it with fabric, creating a covered bier. Fatima approved of this innovation with delight. According to the testimony of Salama, during Fatima's final illness, she personally provided nursing care. One day, when Fatima appeared to experience a momentary improvement and Ali had departed for his responsibilities, Fatima requested bathing water. She purified herself thoroughly, then requested her finest garments, which she donned with meticulous care. She then instructed, "Prepare my bed in the center of this chamber." Once arranged according to her wishes, she reclined upon the bed, positioning her hand beneath her cheek in a gesture of serene repose, and addressed Salama. "O Salama, my time to depart this realm has arrived. I have already purified myself and prepared my spirit. I charge you solemnly, allow no one to disturb my covering after I have departed this world." Shortly thereafter, she released her final breath, her passage to the eternal realm marked by remarkable dignity and spiritual readiness. When Ali returned and learned of her departure, his world collapsed. He performed the burial rites with his own hands, supported by the Prophet's uncle Abbas, who led the funeral prayer, and Ibn Abbas, who assisted during the interment. The grief that consumed Ali manifested in poetry, verses that captured the magnitude of losing not merely a daughter of the Prophet, but his beloved companion, the mother of his children, and the anchor of his heart. Fatima's existence endures as a testimony to the transformative power of unshakable faith. Though her years upon this earth numbered merely 29, her spiritual accomplishments transcend temporal measurement. She demonstrated that true nobility derives not from worldly comfort or extended lifespan, but from unwavering devotion to divine truth and absolute trust in Allah's perfect wisdom. She illustrated through her life that a woman's greatest strength emerges from her spiritual foundation. She showed through her example that sacrifice performed with sincere intention becomes a worship that elevates the soul. She proved through her choices that material deprivation accompanied by spiritual abundance constitutes true richness. She left behind not merely children who would shape Islamic history, but a legacy of virtue, courage, and faith that continues to inspire believers across the centuries. In remembering Fatima, we do not merely recount historical events. We reconnect ourselves with the essence of what it means to live in absolute submission to Allah. We are reminded that the highest achievement is not worldly success, but alignment with divine purpose. We recognize that her short existence contained more blessing than lifetimes of negligence towards spiritual reality. Fatima remains eternally the purified one, the mother of the Bayt, the greatest woman among all the Ummah, and the living proof that when the heart surrenders completely to Allah, no force in creation can diminish the soul's radiance. May we draw inspiration from her luminous path and strive to embody even a fraction of the devotion and faith that characterized her blessed existence. May Allah grant us proximity to her in the gardens of eternal bliss, and may we forever honor the legacy of this most extraordinary woman. May the peace, blessings, and mercy of Allah be upon you all.